More developments this week in relation to the Lachlan Galvin situation at the West Tigers, fellas. Let's dive straight into it. Bring everyone up to speed in a nutshell, because it is days of our lives as far as Lachlan Galvin's future.
Well, obviously, he's told the club he's leaving at the end of next season. There's been a legal stalemate. There was a board meeting on Monday. They emerged from that board meeting saying that Shane Richardson, the CEO, and Isaac Moses, Lachlan Galvin's agent, were continuing discussions, but it looks as though he'll leave there before June 30, if not in the next few weeks. That's the impression I get, it's the impression Mick gets, it's the impression you got, Dave. So I think it'll happen. It's just a matter of where I think that's the impression.
Reed's talking on behalf of all of us. No, sweet, mate. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Who sung that song, The Impression That I Get? Anyway.
Oh, yeah,
keep
I
going.
know that song.
Yeah. Mick?
Yeah, I think he'll be gone.
He's gone?
Yeah, before June 30. I don't
the
think.
Where's he going, Mick?
Maybe Dogs, but this could change by the time this thing comes out, right? So, I think Dogs.
Why do you think Dogs?
I don't know.
Michael.
It's not a good enough answer.
Michael.
I don't know, just things that are happening in the background.
What's happening in the background, Michael?
I don't know. I've just got a gut sense that it's going to be the Dogs. Who do you think? You think Para?
I think Parramatta. I just think he fit.
Para makes the most sense.
Yeah,
right?
I'm just going on the makes sense angle.
Yeah.
Dylan Brown out, Lachlan Galvin in.
Yeah.
Really good educator in the halves alongside Mitch Moses. I love the talent of Isaiah Yongi.
Yep.
If you look at what Isaac...
And they just need to nail the number 9 position, which we'll get to.
Yeah. If you look at what Isaac did with Blaze Talangi, he sent him to Penrith to work alongside Nathan Cleary. So I can see the sense in Galvin going to the Parramatta. But I'm a bit like Mick. There's this nagging sense, and Brace's been pounding on about it on 360, that the Dogs haven't come out and denied it, shut it down.
Well, Gus has.
Well, he sort of has.
He said.
Then he also says he's the greatest player in history,
Gus
basically.
has shut it down, in fairness.
Yeah, but Gus...
But you said the Dogs haven't come and shut it down.
The
shut it
coach
down.
spoke about it this week. He didn't shut it down.
No, he didn't.
No. So, and Gus, you can't take Gus with a grain of salt, right? Because Gus will throw you off the scent if he can.
The biggest influence for me and the Canterbury Bulldogs is Luke Vella, of which I detailed in my column a few Sundays ago. The connection with Lachlan Galvin and the assistant coach of the Bulldogs goes back to their high school days, and they are there's a lot of trust and belief in each other. Lachlan rates Luke as the top 3 influences on him making the NRL. And that brings me back into the Bulldogs discussion. However, I still hold the Blue and Golds as front runners.
Well, again, it makes the most sense because they need a 6, Dylan Brown leaving. But I'm a bit like everyone. We've learned not to trust or not to read into too much of what Phil Gould says, because sometimes he'll say things that throw you off the scent. Sometimes he'll throw stuff out there to create debate and send you in the wrong direction, and so that's the worry, right? And he's been so lavish in his praise of Lachlan Galvin for so long now, and now Lachlan Galvin's potentially available, and you tell me he's not going to go there? Come on, man.
The big situation, what will eventuate in relation to the leaving before June 30 is, can the Dogs, can Parramatta, or can another club get Lachlan Galvin into their system straight away? Let's talk about the Dogs for a second. What impact does it have on the Dogs of Lachlan Galvin coming in straight away to a team that's running first?
I would say the other issue with Galvin and the Dogs, Dave, is they haven't re-signed Toby Sexton. And every time they've been asked about his contract extension, potential contract extension, they talked it down almost. He's a developing player, or he's in the development phase. You know, they seem in no rush to re-sign Toby Sexton. Are you going to say have I been watching him?
Yeah, well, have you been watching? I just feel like there's an overinflated opinion of Toby Sexton at this point in time, and watching him closely, in that Raiders first half performance, when they needed to turn the momentum of that game, he came up with a dribble kick to legs to Hudson Young. He came with a rainbow ball to Jacob Carraz's feet, and it wasn't a controlling effort from a half. Anyway.
Well, that's why the Galvin door's ajar as well.
Yeah.
But what was the question? I forgot what your question was.
No, do they get him in? How can they? Do you let Galvin come into your system straight away?
Well, that's the worry of the Dogs, right? It upsets the system that's top of the ladder. That's the issue they've got to grapple with. But that's a smart footy club. I mean, Cameron Sorrell is a genius. Gus is a genius. They'll find a way to make it work. But I'm sure their preference would be, if they are to sign Lachlan Galvin, to do it at the end of the season when, it doesn't disturb what they're doing now.
Again, I come back to, I reckon Parramatta are the more streamlined move to before June 30. And I say this because you get Galvin in, and then suddenly those dominoes of which were originally discussed, Dylan Brown to Newcastle, Kai Pearce-Paul down to the West Tigers, that can eventuate.
That could happen, it could happen. I just don't know how much of a hurry Dylan Brown is to get to Newcastle, given the predicament they're at. Is he racing out the door to... Seriously, is he racing out the door
No, I agree. Would you
get
want
there
to go
without
to
a full
Newcastle right
pre-season?
now?
But can't Parramatta say to him, listen, mate, you made your call. We need to make our call for our future.
They can't force him to...
And Galvin's our guy going forward. He's coming.
They can't force him.
And we're going to play him ahead of you.
They can do that. They can certainly
and
play
then
him
therefore Dylan's sitting on a bench or not playing.
Dave, would you want to go to Newcastle right now?
I don't start me on the Dylan Brown going to 10 years to Newcastle.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
It'll be
Would you want to go to Newcastle right now?
No way in the world.
No.
But I think it'll be a lot of pressure on Dylan to go there and try and save the day in such a short period without a pre-season and stuff like that. I think it's a big ask for him. If I'm him, I don't think I want to do that until I get there, have a full pre-season, work with Kalen, change the attacking structure. They'll have... Dom Young will probably be there as well, so it will change a few things down there. Suddenly they'll have some spark. But yeah, so it's interesting to see what they would do at the Eels, because you got Dylan Brown. You can't play Galvin off the bench because Dylan Walker's killing it in that potential hybrid role. I don't know. Where do you shift? I don't know where you shift all these players to fit him in.
Rumour mill time, boys. Let's start with Dom Young. He returns to first grade for the Sydney Roosters. It's an Origin depleted Roosters side. Dom Young has been playing in Cup. Bring us up to speed. Where's it at, Mick?
Yeah, I think talks are back on. Obviously, it was on, off, and I
with
think
Newcastle.
With Newcastle, it's back on again. He's got to play this week because Rob Toyer's playing for Queensland. They play the week after the Roosters, and then they have the bye. I reckon around that bye period, I wouldn't be surprised if he hightails it back to the Newcastle Knights. I think, as long as the deal doesn't fall over, I think he'll be at the Knights before June 30.
What's the haggling over?
It was obviously the money, right? So he's on a deal worth around, $500,000 a season. The Knights wanted the Roosters to tip some money in. The Roosters, or Trent Robinson, was quite vocal. The fact, we actually don't want him to go. So if you want him, you got to pay full freight. And those comments, look, there'll be some middle ground. The Roosters, I'm sure, will have to chip something in for him to move.
Let me ask you this: what do you think he'll be earning next season at the Knights?
What the Knights will pay? So he's going to earn $500,000, right?
Okay. So what's the investment from the Knights? Do you think next year?
I'm not sure. It'd be around.
I thought they were covering it all. I thought Newcastle, that was the hassle. That's what.
Okay. So is he a $500,000 winger at the Knights in the NRL? And then would the Knights be smart in paying $500,000 for him?
Well, he's a $500,000 winger based on his form 2 years ago, but not based on his form this year.
I think he's super important for Newcastle because you look at that Knight side and you go, what do they lack at the moment? They lack a little bit of spark, speed. Something to... He scored so many tries for him out of nothing, right? Yep. When there was a half opportunity that Kalen or someone created, he was able to score a try, and that's what they need. So if you have a backline next year of Ponga, Best, Young, Sharp, Brown, with Gagai potentially still there, suddenly you go, okay, I can finally see where the points will come from for the Knights.
Yeah, I hear you, but I suppose you're going back on what he's done in the past and not most recently, which is not that form.
Hasn't been great. He's been, like, the criticism around Dom is his carries out of his own end weren't great, and defensively he struggled, right? But you know, I think Newcastle will back themselves to get what they got out of him. They wanted to keep him. They never wanted to let him go. Whether he's worth 500, that's obviously on the top end. You know, I think if they could find, if it was 400, I think I'd be comfortable with that if I was the Knights.
Rumour mill time, guys. The West Tigers, they're a hot topic club. Is Lachlan Galvin the only player that could be on the move?
Well, no, Dave, because Talon Silva, young hooker, who's been Appy Coruscant's backup at the club. He's a local junior. So we revealed this week that they're going to sit down with Appy Coruscant next week to talk about a contract extension. If that happens, Talon Silva will go to market and look to leave. So he'll have lots of interest. I'd imagine it'll happen because the Tigers want to keep Uppy. They want to extend him. Uppy wants to stay. That meeting next week has been driven by his agent, who wants some clarity around Uppy's future. He's going to get that next week. The Tigers are going to sit down and say, we want to extend your contract. And that'll mean Talon De Silva goes to market, looks around, sees what's out there for him.
My obvious question would be, does he potentially follow Galvin?
They are very good mates.
Very good mates. Yeah. To the point of which Talon was one of the few teammates to go and watch Lockie play New South Wales Cup.
Yeah.
And at Lidcombe Oval.
Well, I feel as though they're not selling themselves as a package.
I'm not saying
that. Can I ask you this, Dave? Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, this is a question for you. If Lachlan Galvin goes to the Bulldogs, Reed Mahoney, there's been a bit of talk about Reed Mahoney's future. They gave him permission, I think, at the end of last year to have a little look around, see what was out there, his agent. Could you see them potentially releasing Reed Mahoney a year early if it means they can get Galvin and Talon De Silva?
Yes, I can see that.
Because the Cowboys, I imagine,
so long as the Dogs are, we don't know if the Dogs are interested in De Silva.
No, we don't.
What I do know is they have a lot of belief and promise in Bailey Hayward.
But what's his position?
Well, he's doing a damn good job in the halves when he's been asked to step up there. He's been dynamic out of dummy half as well. I think it's either or.
See, I mean, Para's the same. If Para get Galvin, they're going to re-sign Riley Smith.
Yeah.
But Talon De Silva's, if they can get Talon De Silva as well, suddenly they've got two positions in Galvin and De Silva that they've got out of depth and cover.
And they've got their 169 locked in long term potentially, and Mitch is obviously at the peak of his powers.
The Dogs intrigue me though, just because of the Mahoney situation.
Yeah, sure. What are we looking out for this weekend, boys? Mick, you're off to Bathurst.
I'm off to Bathurst. Yeah. Looking forward.
What are you going there for?
Watch the game.
Rugby league.
Are you going to drive rugby out there,
league?
Nick,
I love country rugby league.
How long does that take you?
2.5.
In the driving rain.
I'm looking forward to it.
Nah, it'd be good out there.
Are you really looking forward to it?
Yep.
I wish I was going.
Just
I love country rugby league.
Are you really looking forward to it?
I think this is my 5th year going, so I've been a few times.
You'll do anything for money, won't you?
Yeah.
You wish you were going?
Yeah, I love going. I love bush footy. Love it.
When was the last time you went to
Mudgee.
He says that.
Charity Shield.
How long ago was that?
Charity Shield.
How long ago?
Mudgee is
2 years ago?
I don't want to annoy the people of Bath. Mudgee is my favourite regional game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I didn't have kids and we couldn't make a weekend of it.
I'd rather never leave the northern beaches. But anyway, go on. What do you got?
So are we talking about a turning point?
What's happened?
Is this a turning point match in Bathurst for the Newcastle Knights? Can they turn this season around in Bathurst?
Well, they've got to try and salvage the year. I don't know if they can turn it around and play finals footy.
It's a very vulnerable Penrith team.
It's a weird, but so Penrith have got obviously big guns out, right? Newcastle missing a fair few as well. Obviously, Ponga, Best, Safidi, all gone, right? So they should they win? It's hard. Like tipping this weekend is ridiculous, right?
Is there a world we could possibly live in where the Knights actually free up and play some attacking footy just without Kalen Ponga?
Gamble and Cogger in your halves.
I don't know, Sharp.
That's tough. That's tough to do. No Best. Like their best attack. Like they're a side that's been struggling to attack.
For so long, there's been question marks about the Knights being a one-trick pony with Kalen Ponga. Surely these players think, hang on a sec, let's show we can actually do this without the King.
Yeah, but I wonder whether their confidence is so low at the moment.
Well, that is.
And their lack of faith is so low that they're in a hole they can't dig themselves out of, particularly without Kalen.
Yeah.
I think, I can't remember I think I tipped Penrith. Certainly after talking to you blokes today, I wish I had tipped Penrith, but I didn't.
Why?
Because I think the Knights are legless at the moment. And without Kalen, they're even more legless.
I honestly just think there's an element of the dressing room coming together and go, let's do something without.
I just don't know
our
if
star.
They're ever going to I don't know if they want to get into a points duel with the Panthers. The way they'll win, it's going to be wet. It's going to be gritty. You know, Leah Thompson's back. He'll roll the sleeves up. Frizzell in the middle of the field. I think that's where their potential advantage is. If it's a high-scoring game, I think they'll lose.
Is it a close game?
Close game. Yeah, I think it'll be a close game. Super close game.
You don't think it's close?
I think there's every chance Penrith flog them.
I'm going the other. I feel like it's a golden point game.
I feel like the Knights could win.
I'm not saying they can't win, but
you said they're going to get flogged.
Yeah.
No, you asked me what I think might happen. I think they might get flogged. I fear they might get flogged.
So obviously,
I'm not saying they can't, but they're not there's not. They're not
if
no
you
chance.
think they're going to get flogged, you give them no chance.
No, I'm not giving them no chance. I'm saying my gut feel
Sounds
is they're
like
going
you're
to
giving
get
them no
whipped.
chance.
No chance.
But they're a chance. Maybe they win. Maybe they've got to turn around at some point.
Who is this guy?
They've got to get better. They can't keep playing the way they
You're
are.
going to be tipping them in about 10 seconds.
No, I'm not tipping them. No, sorry.
Come on.
No faith.
Come on.
No faith. Sorry, Adam.
What are you looking out for, Reedy, this weekend?
You know what, Dave? I'm looking out for Tommy Trebojevic. He missed out in Origin.
Yes.
I thought he'd be there. I'm looking for him to cut loose against the Eels this weekend. I think he'll be spoiling to prove a point, Tommy. So when Tommy wants to prove a point, man, it's not many better than Tommy.
Funny club, Manly. What's
They're a very
going on?
funny club.
What's going on?
Great win last week. Great win.
And then the week before, not so good.
Yeah,
it's
they were a bit up and down. They've been like that for a while now. But I thought they looked good last week. But no Daly, obviously.
Yep.
I think they'll win against Para without Mitch. But Tommy, I think Tommy will, particularly if Tommy turns it on. I expect him to turn it on, Dave.
They should turn it on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel as though
You're not sold on Manly,
No,
are
I'm
you?
not. No,
Well, how could you be sold on
not
Manly?
sold on
no
Manly.
chance.
I'm not sold
No
on it. I'm
way
just asking you
anyone's-
blokes.
I
Why are you
wrote a
attacking
couple
me?
Are we
like-
getting to the point where they're like the whole? I hate to say this. Are we getting to the point where they just want the Daly Cherry Evans things for him to be gone,
Not gone.
and so they can just start?
Probably depends who you talk to in that playing group, don't you think? I'm sure some of them would be happy to see the back of him, don't you think? No?
Yeah,
Disagree?
and I'm not saying the individual so much.
You only asked that
I'm-
question because that's what you think.
No, not so much the individual, the noise, the
Definitely
headlines,
the noise and the headline.
Won't it be
the
interesting
questions
to see how
on is he having a dig for us?
Well, let's see how they play without him because he's not there this week. So let's see, shall we?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're the most frustrated team in the NRL to follow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
At their best, top four. At their worst, they look like a bottom four side.
Yeah.
So and they don't usually play in between. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're a real tough side to get a read on.
fellas, I really sense that the Queensland side will have a real call to arms action about them in relation to the Spencer Leniu situation that unfolded a couple of weeks ago with Queensland Origin assistant coach Jonathan Thurston. Now, fans will say, rubbish, Ricky, you're off your head. Like, that was weeks ago.
That's what I was going to say.
That was weeks ago. You let it go. They latch onto things the Maroons.
Mate, I'm with you.
Yeah.
100%.
Because he had a
Mate,
crack at an assistant coach.
the fans are going to
Mate,
fair
they
dinkum.
are loyal.
You reckon the fans up
To
there
their
are
staff.
The
gonna
fans
to
are
him?
going to go nuts.
The Queensland players-
The fans are going to rip into him.
They'll talk about it, no doubt. Well, they'll make a point. They're going to want to win that.
But let's win it for
that
JT.
duel v Spencer Leniu. Because you need to win that battle against Spencer because he's such a lightning rod for New South Wales when he comes on, right? So they
And
need to
off.
win that physically
For
and
you.
off. I love Spencer, good man. And but also because of the JT thing. You think that won't factor in at all? Let's not forget there's also some personal battles out there. Remember Carrigan and him went at it in Vegas a while ago. So
Yeah, definitely. I don't think he's, would be well liked amongst the players or the fans in Queensland. But I don't know.
He'll love it, though.
Flip the script, right? A Queensland player attacks a Blues legend,
Joey.
Joey,
Let's say Joey.
and Joey's on the staff.
You reckon the players are buying into
You
it?
blokes don't really get it like we do, though.
I think there's a protection mode there. There should be.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to bash the bloke.
You're too cruisy.
Yeah,
Mick.
come on,
He
mate.
wasn't going to. What were you thinking?
You're a lover.
You know what,
He's a
Dave?
lover, not a fighter.
Regardless of the JT thing, like there's a couple of blokes they love to hate in Queensland, right? Liam Martin and Spencer Leniu are at the top of the list.
Spencer's
They're
a little bit easier to dislike than Liam, right? Like in
Yeah.
terms of the way, because Liam doesn't really carry himself with that fire off the field
No.
a bit, where we've seen Spencer boil over off the field a couple of times. So, but yeah, I love it. Like, you need the villains, right? On this, we're craving some villains,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I just don't know. Like, Spencer's obviously a villain, no doubt, right, for the Queenslanders, but the whole JT thing.
What about the media bans?
Look, I don't have a massive issue with it. I'd love to be able to speak to Latrell because I reckon he's one of the great interviews in rugby league when he's in the right frame of mind, the right mood. Spencer's much the same, right? They're two really emotional guys, wear their heart on their sleeve. When you interview them, it's rare that you walk away and go, geez, there was nothing in that. But I can understand why they're not speaking at the moment. Their clubs have put them have basically kept them out of the media all season. Well, Spencer since the JT incident and Latrell all season. Why then, when they go into New South Wales camp, should New South Wales, the New South Wales Rugby League, have to put these blokes up to talk? Because we know what the questions are going to be.
What
They're
are
going to
the
be
questions going to be on Latrell?
Well, he hasn't spoken since
But what are the
Dubbo or whatever
What
it
are the
was.
questions around Latrell? Like, really?
Okay, I just told you.
That was a long time ago. Move on.
You don't move on. You carry everything.
No, I'm saying that's what he can say. Move on.
Who's got a great memory? An owl?
Right.
What's an owl? You're like one of... No, an elephant. You're like an elephant. It's an elephant.
But
He's got a great memory. You hold things.
What's Latrell like? Why is he not talking?
Well,
Why is he not talking?
Because he thinks at the moment to not talk to the media, he's in a better frame of mind. Removes the distractions.
Isn't it
Playing better football.
Isn't it part of your job? Isn't it your part? Isn't
Probably,
it part
yeah.
of the role? And such a key figure within the game to promote the game.
Yes.
Through sharing your story.
Yeah.
Through the
we're biased, right? Like, obviously we're biased. We want him to talk, right? We're
Yeah.
biased. Like, so, you know.
Can you guys please remember? It was only a few years ago that Suncorp Stadium couldn't sell out an Origin match.
Oh, once in history, Dave. Come on. We always sell out up there, brother.
Okay, well, let's hope it's a sellout next Wednesday,
Probably
because I'll
already
hold you
sold
to
out.
it.
Yeah, it's already sold out.
And Dave Smith, the former NRL CEO, rang Paul Gallen and said, "Mate, we are struggling to sell tickets here. Can I flick you a
10K, wasn't it?
lobster?
Yeah.
Or 10.
10, wasn't it?
And
Call
call
us
these blokes two
Two
heads.
heads.
How good.
Outrageous.
If you had to pick
Gal
one,
ran towards it, and but that was the point.
Yeah.
Origin wasn't selling
Dave, it's disappointing.
It's
disappointing that they're
to
not
promote
talking.
the game.
It's disappointing.
if you could
for
pick one
everyone.
New South Wales player this week to talk to, it'd be Spencer, I reckon.
Yeah. And
Well,
Trell.
Well, I reckon it'd be Trell because Trell hasn't spoken in 9 months.
I'd go Spencer.
Would you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you'd like at least I can't understand why Latrell's not speaking. I can understand why Spencer's not speaking because we're going to talk about he's got to address the Thurston situation. Thurston's got the Queensland element and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And if I'm New South Wales, I probably don't want Spencer to talk either
Okay.
because it's going to inflame the situation.
Yep.
For the life of me, I can't understand why Latrell's not talking.